All right, what's good, everyone? It's your boy Austen here, yet again, forgetting to wear his JumpX shirt, but, you know, who cares? You guys know where it's all at. And
Tom Barnes, 5'11" dunker.
Pro dunker.
Yeah. What are we talking about today? Last time it was more of an introduction towards, like, what we do, who we are, like our villain origin stories. That's what you said last time.
Your villain arc.
Yeah. When yours was like your hero origin story. What are we talking about today?
We're going to talk a little bit at the start about our coaching history, I guess, because we didn't even touch on that last time. Yeah, you guys probably wondering who the hell are these guys?
Yeah, who are these clowns?
Yeah, but anyways, we'll start with you, Tom.
Okay. So, I was so obviously you're 24.
I'm 25 now, actually, as of Sunday.
Oh, yeah, he is. So everyone just wish Austin happy birthday. He just turned 25.
When your best friend forgets your birthday.
Me when I'm a terrible friend. Yeah. No, I got him a good present, don't you worry.
Yeah, guess what he got me as a birthday present? He got me creatine.
Tren as well.
Yeah. That was the cover label, right? You know the old pre-workouts or the pre-workouts. What's his name? Rich Piana's pre-workout. How there's the what do you call it?
50.
Yeah, but how there's the proprietary. What do you call it?
Proprietary blend or something?
Yeah. And then you have the real blend.
The real blend.
Yeah, so secretly there's trend in this creatine. So this is...
Yeah.
So if you guys see my vertical jump up 10 inches in the next 30 days, then...
That would be actually disgusting.
You guys didn't hear it here.
No, not from us. So, my kind of backstory when it comes to coaching.
Yeah.
So, as I said last time, I started training when I was 17. So this was in year 12. And obviously I finished year 12. I went to uni for 3 years. I studied sports science. So I kind of got a bit of a background in... To be honest, like, it didn't really help with my... Like, as bad as it sounds, it didn't really help with my coaching. It was more just learning about the human body when it comes to things like muscles, tendons, all that kind of stuff, like the behind the scenes stuff. But when it comes to actual coaching for jumping higher, I learned more of my stuff from like practical experiences. So I trained under a guy called Lawrence. He works for the Warwick Workout or do you know Warwick Stadium?
I've heard
it's
of it.
It's like up north in WA.
I would have been there at some point playing basketball, but I just don't remember.
So they're the Senators, the Sterling... I'm not the Sterling Senators anymore, but they're called the Senators. So for a whole year, he kind of took me through... I got to coach the state basketball, state netball team, and kind of just see how they were programmed for themselves. I've also coached... Obviously, we've got our JumpX athletes, and I've coached people in person as well. Probably my favourite client transformation... I got two. We got Hack, who's some... insane progress in 1 month. And obviously, if you watch my old vlogs, I've got my cousin Nick, and you would have seen him from barely touching the rim to getting windmills, and he got to the point where he was almost sitting between the legs, and that took 1 year. So that transformation was probably one of my favorites I've seen. So
cool, man.
Yeah.
No, cool. So I guess we'll jump onto me. Basically, I've been coaching people face to face since 2018. So I've got quite an extensive amount of practical experience, which has definitely helped me, and it's definitely helped me train people in the right way. And I'm just on a endless pursuit of knowledge and learning. Obviously I feel like I know a lot at this point, but obviously I'm never going to admit that I know everything and that I couldn't learn more. Because I feel like I'm just ever evolving and every year continually getting better and better and better. If I look at my programs from a year ago till now, there's so much I will change. Yeah, exactly.
Why did I do that? No.
Exactly, and that's very, very normal. I've had a countless amount of mentoring, help, assistance from other coaches in the industry. I've done so many courses,
programs.
Upskilling and programs, just so much. I've invested tens of thousands of dollars over the years into my own knowledge, and a lot of it, Tom, has just come from also just practical experience as well. That's where I'd say I've learnt the most. Just through applying what I learned, not only with the athletes I train, but also with myself as well. You know what I mean? And that's that's what like has really solidified things for me, seeing what works, seeing what doesn't. And honestly, like the more you learn, the simpler you realize things are, right? And
we kind of have very similar like theories or like the way we think about training now.
Yeah.
We always, it is simple, but you have to know why it's simple, if that makes sense.
Exactly. So like the underlying principles behind it, that's what's complicated, right? The quote unquote sports science part of it, right? That's the more complex part. But once you understand all those key principles, then it's applying those principles almost is an art form in itself. In terms of programming.
Yeah, because people, well, not everyone, but a lot of people just think, you can chuck in everything at once and that's fine. But everything needs to be put in at a specific time.
Yeah.
And if something happens, you need to be able to change it for whatever reason. So, yeah, actually a lot more goes into it than people.
I mean, anyone can just throw a program together and a bunch of exercises together, but
it's like half the vertical jump programs. Like,
yeah.
I always say this to people who I'm kind of talking to about vertical jump. I'm like, what programs have you done in the past? And I go, if they say, I'm not going to name any programs, but they say they name one, I go, we got to kind of think, who was it made for? Like,
yeah,
because obviously there's like exercises put in and they've put like phases, like they have like a strength phase, power phase, whatever. But then you got to go like, why did they put in this exercise? So maybe it would work for them. Maybe you're lucky. Maybe the exercises and the order the exercises are put in work for you, but it might not work for the guy next door. So
yeah,
you got to think who was the program actually made for. And that's why personalized coaching is generally going to be better for you, right? In the long term, because it allows the coaching to be able to get changed up from week to week, from month to month, from year to year. It's not just the same thing over and over, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. No, it definitely tops it off like quite well. But yeah, moving on, one of the topics that we wanted to jump into today was...
JumpX into?
Yeah,
that was terrible. I want to... Jeez. I apologise.
Yeah, that was not funny at all. It was funny, it was so bad. But anyways, like one of the topics I wanted to jump into today was how to prevent injuries and how to deal with injuries, the mental struggles of dealing with injuries and just managing injuries in general, because this is a big part of the journey in terms of improving your athleticism, improving your vertical jump. Like, if you're going out redlining a car every week, you can't expect nothing to go wrong with it, right? I mean, look at race cars, look at Formula 1 cars, right? That's a good comparison, right? Because what we're trying to do is jumping athletes. Like, a good comparison would be two Formula 1 cars, right? Because they're probably the highest performing car on the planet, and they're doing it every week, right? Which is essentially what we're doing in jumping, right? Trying to maximize our performance, or we're pretty much redlining ourselves every week, right? So you can't expect nothing to go wrong ever. You know what I mean? So
I was just going to say, like, you could almost think of... So I don't know if you watch F1 yourself, but a lot of people who watch F1 know there's different teams, right? So you got like Ferrari, Mercedes, whatever.
Yeah.
And you can kind of think of different programs or different coaches as different teams. So you've got like the Mercedes, the Red Bull. They're like the good coaches, right?
Yeah.
Reliable. Generally, that you're going to be on top.
Yeah.
And not to like downgrade any teams, but there's obviously like lower teams where maybe they don't perform as well for whatever reason. So, and then obviously their cars are going to break more. So you could think of it's like a little analogy right there.
Yeah.
I was gonna be like, because recently Ferrari have been like the most unreliable cars of all time.
Yeah.
So that's like would be an example of bad coaching. So the Ferraris are the fastest car on the grid. Okay. Yeah. But they break down like fucking every second race.
Yeah.
So that's like, okay, the coaching's really, really... It'd be like a program that's really, really hard and you get really, really good fast, but there's no recovery. Like, the recovery is not, catered in the program, and the athlete keeps getting injured back to back.
Yeah.
Like, they'll make lots of progress, injury. Progress, injury.
Yeah, there's no prevention or management protocols within the program.
So you kind of need that, like, fine line where...
Really, that's the key, man, to long-term results, is minimizing the amount of time you're injured, because obviously while you're injured, you can't train properly and you can't get the results you want. So the less you get injured, in the long run, the better your results are going to be, and the quicker you're going to get towards those results, because you're spending less time injured, which is so important. And it's like the number one thing. It needs to be the number one thing in programming, like injury prevention and management, that needs to come first, performance second. Because that's the main point of strength and conditioning and resistance training in the first place anyways.
It was for health.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that always needs to be a priority, because it doesn't matter if you can jump 45 inches if you're always on the bench, right? No one cares.
Yeah, well, it's like...
No one cares about that guy that says, oh, I used to be able to win, or I used to be able to eat. Like, no one cares. Like, people only care what you can do now. You know what I mean? If you can't do those things now, then... Yeah.
Would you rather be able to jump 45 inches once a year and be hurt for the rest of the year, or jump 40 inches but be able to do that week in, week out, and eventually be able to jump 45 inches week in, week out?
Yeah, that's a very good...
I know my answer, like...
That's a very good way to put it. That's
might have 5... Yes.
That's like...
you get away with training hard and dumb for so long.
That's like, would you rather date a 10 out of 10, but she's annoying and causes you all these issues?
Psycho.
And she's psycho. Or would you rather date a 7 or 8 out of 10, and then she's, very, I guess, honest, trustworthy, pretty much good to you, right? I know I'm going to pick the 7 or 8 out of 10 over the 10 out of 10.
You don't
every day of the week.
The headache, right?
Yeah, exactly. The headache. And we can tie that back into jumping, right? I would rather jump 40 inches consistently and be injury.
You do jump 40 inches consistently.
Not yet. Getting there though, there. Basically, what was I saying? About, so 40 inches, jumping 40 inches consistently. So I'd rather jump 40 inches consistently, be injury-free, but I'll do that regularly, than jump, say, like 48 inches, but always be injured, always have all these problems, issues, Yeah. So...
I feel like most people would say the same thing.
Exactly. But moving into how to prevent injuries, though.
Depends on the injury, first of all. Let's just state that.
But speaking more general, right? Okay. Things that are going to minimize your risk of injury.
Let's just list some off right now.
So real basic, number one, make sure you're sleeping and sleeping enough regularly, right? Like 7 to 8 hours, maybe more. It depends on your workload.
You're training really hard and you've got a labor-intensive job on top of that, bro. Yeah. 10 hours maybe.
Yeah. Absolutely.
That's hard to get.
Yeah.
Honestly, 10 hours.
It is, but if you're working that much, your body will your body will tell you whether you need that much or not. But I saw a study a while back, every hour under 8 hours of sleep increases your risk of injury by 1.7 times.
Yeah, I know.
Which is crazy.
That's bad.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Highlighting how important it is to sleep, and also for your recovery. If you're not sleeping enough, you're going to be under recovering. If you're under recovering, more likely to tear a muscle, more likely to put your body in the wrong position as well. You're just gonna be more prone
100%
to hurting yourself.
And if that's not, motivation enough to get sleep, if you're not sleeping, you can't adapt to your training.
Yeah, exactly.
You're not gonna be able to jump higher. So
less results as well.
Yeah. For the younger people listening who are like, I don't care if I'm injured or I'm not going to get injured because if I sleep. There you go. There's your motivation. Sleep or you won't jump higher. It's not wrong though.
Yeah, it's one of the secret keys, but it's not even secret. It's obvious, but it's almost secret because it's so obvious. You know what I mean? It's one of those things people just look past it. Oh yeah, sleep. You know what I mean? And then they're like, oh, what creatine, what pre-workout should I take? All these things, none of that matters unless you're sleeping enough. Sleeping's going to do way more for you than taking creatine, taking pre-workout. Yeah. All these little things, freaking foam rolling, man. Yeah, I'd rather sleep 5 hours in foam roll than 8 hours of not foam roll. Yeah, exactly.
That's what people actually think, though.
Yeah. But yeah, not only duration of sleep is important, but also sleep quality as well. If you're not dreaming, that's a red flag right there as well. You need to make sure you're dreaming, because that's a good indicator that you're actually in REM sleep or rapid eye movement sleep, right? Which is super important. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's not only how long you sleep, but the quality of your sleep, and dreaming is a good indicator of that.
Just remind me, having your phone on, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, a lot of people don't know, but before you go to bed, you should probably, 30 minutes before, get off all electronics, right?
Yeah.
Stop watching TV. It's that blue light.
I'll take that one step. I'll take that one step further. So this is literally what I do every night. So it hits 9 p.m. Right. I plan to fall asleep at 11. My phone goes in another room. I don't touch my phone 2 hours before I go to bed. It's in another room. And light, I dim all lights as well. So I get rid of harsh overhead lights, so using side lamps, things like that. If I'm watching my laptop, it's on the lowest brightness setting. So I try to reduce all light exposure before bed.
I'm pretty sure there's something like the more light your eyes see, it like stops the release of something in your melatonin in your brain.
So
like,
it inhibits
sleep, right?
it inhibits the release of melatonin, which melatonin is one of your sleep chemicals or sleep hormones that is responsible for making you feel tired.
Yeah.
And helping you fall asleep too. That's why people supplement it as well. So
yeah, well I've supplemented with it, and I take that if I'm like having a bad like stint of sleep and get knocked out. Yeah, it's that strong. So
it's not something you want to rely on though and be.
No, unless you have like a chronic condition.
Where
you need it, don't rely on it. So
exactly.
Just putting that out there. So that's the first one.
Yeah.
Sleep. We kind of went off on that a little bit, but it was necessary.
We could talk about that way more.
There'll be a whole podcast on sleep, but diet.
Yeah, nutrition.
Come on.
Yeah. Ensuring you're eating enough. Ensuring you're eating enough protein. You're eating enough carbohydrates. You're eating your vegetables. Getting micronutrients in it. So it's not all about calories in, calories out. Even though that's the number one thing in terms of managing your weight level and your weight loss and your weight gain, whatever you're trying to do. That's the number one thing that's going to influence that. But quality of calories is also important. Like, let's not pretend like micronutrients aren't important, because they are, especially for an athlete as well. They're going to have a influence on your energy levels, your recovery, things like that. Like, the healthier your body is, the better position you're going to be in to force these adaptations you want it to. So that's very important. Like, even though you might be getting enough protein, but you're just eating McDonald's every meal of the day, it's not good.
No.
It's not good.
Real quick tip, if you're a strength power athlete, if you're a jumper, basketball player, you're training really hard in the gym, if you're on JumpX, we personally would want you to be eating 2 times your body weight in protein.
Yeah.
At least.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm 75 to 80 kilos, so I would need roughly 150 to 160 grams of protein a day.
Yeah.
And in a chicken breast, 100 grams is like 24 grams. So
24, 30.
Think about how much protein you actually really need to eat. So getting that much a day, just 2 times the body weight, is actually quite hard. For me, at least.
Yeah, it is hard in your situation if you struggle to eat.
Yeah.
100%. So that's where supplementing with a protein shake is very convenient, because obviously you just drink that protein. You don't have to eat 160 grams of chicken or beef or that sort of stuff. So that's where supplementing with a protein shake can be super beneficial. Although you still want to make sure you are getting some sort of meat in throughout the day. For micronutrients.
Yeah.
Especially some sort of red meat. That's very important. Yeah.
I mean, to me, I don't eat any red meat, really. I definitely should, but I did get my iron checked recently, and it's actually fine.
That's good.
Yeah.
Well, that's good.
We were going to talk about it. We're like in the gym a couple of days ago, and we're going to say, let's mention this on the podcast about the eating thing. Like, some people are very I feel like you're either on one side or you're on the other side, and we're like complete opposites.
Yeah,
right?
you're on opposite ends of the spectrum. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't how.
So you have So Tom actually has the issue of, like, he struggles to eat enough to support his training.
Yeah, it's not like I don't want to, but if I've trained for like, let's say 2-3 hours in a day, first of all, that's burnt like a lot of calories. That's the first issue. So not only do I have to eat those calories to just get up to 0 again, I have to eat calories on top of that just to like maintain, being alive, right?
Yeah.
And eating that much is, for me personally, like quite hard. Like I get to a point where I'm eating, I just feel sick. Just looking at food makes me feel sick. So it's I'm just sitting there like, this is terrible. Yeah. Whereas on the other hand, right?
Yeah, I'm on the opposite end of the spectrum. I have the issue of like never being satisfied, never being full. Always trying to hold back to ensure I'm not eating too much and then I don't gain unnecessary fat.
Yeah.
And we all know fat don't fly. So I'm always in a constant battle of like, I eat so clean just to maximize the amount of volume I'm eating in terms of like the sheer amount of food that's on my plate, right? If I go eat a muffin or something that's a little bit more dense in calories but not as filling, that kind of like it's not satisfying for me. I need something that's going to fill me up, something that's more satiating, higher in fiber, higher in protein, vegetables, all that, to ensure I'm not overeating. And I do track my calories religiously day in, day out, because it's like a variable that I want to be in control of. Like, I don't want to undereat on one day without knowing it, and then that affect my jump session the next day or my strength session the next day. So that's like another tip we can give you guys is tracking your calories. Like, obviously, like, you don't have to do it for your whole life, but just to at least give you an understanding of what you're consuming and what you should be eating. Even just doing it for a few months is highly beneficial, just to bring more awareness to what you're actually consuming, because a lot of you guys are not going to have any idea of how much protein you're eating, how much carbohydrates you're eating, whether you're even eating enough in the first place to actually adapt to your training properly. So this is where tracking your calories is going to be crucial, because that variable that is going up and down, that is actually negatively affecting your results, you could be in control of.
Yeah.
And you could be manipulating in a way to where you're eating enough consistently, so then you're recovering properly consistently, right? It's kind of like your sleep, right? If your sleep's constantly in and out, then you're not going to adapt properly to your training, right? And why would you let that happen if you're serious about your goals, right? So why would you do the same with your food? You know what I mean?
It's like, even if you, for example, like yesterday or the day before, you said you had like undereaten. No, you had overeaten. You had 4,000 calories, and you're like, I feel fucking amazing. Well,
I did it on
that's
purpose.
probably why a lot of you guys, you know, you get in the gym and you go, oh, I felt so strong today. Everything was flying.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, it could be a lot of factors. It could be like your sleep, whatever. But a lot of the time, especially for me, if I've like eaten a lot the day before, I'll just find like my general energy, mood, the weights will feel a lot lighter than they normally do. The session will be easier to do just because I've had more food, right? So just shows you how important it is, right?
Oh yeah, no, it will directly affect your strength level. So if you got a program max on a certain day, and the day before you've undereaten, then you've kind of shot yourself in the foot there.
Yeah.
In terms of wanting to hit a PR, right?
Yeah.
So, like, you know how it is, man. Like, when you want to hit a PR, you load up on carbs the day before, right?
Got it.
Yeah. Carbohydrates, they're also very important, guys. We don't want any of this keto shit going on with our athletes.
Right.
Like, just being straight up, man. Like, you need carbohydrates as an athlete. That's your body's preferred fuel source, right? Like, you run most efficiently on carbohydrates. I remember seeing something back in the day, like, literally, you can still have energy and over time condition your body to have energy on fats, but it's something like you're only at 80% of your capacity in terms of your energy, your performance.
Fats are so much like slower to break down, bro.
Exactly. So this is where eating enough carbohydrates is crucial, especially for like strength and power athletes as well. Like, literally, I'm eating like 500 grams of carbs a day, sometimes more, depends. Like, if I'm having like a 4,000 calorie day, if I'm feeling really bad from the training I'm doing, and I feel like I'm under recovering, but like
a little bit intuitive,
a little bit intuitive, but it's like I wouldn't know that without tracking it as well. And this is why
you've done it for so long. You know what a good kind of maintenance calorie level is, and I'm feeling a bit crap today, so I might eat a little bit extra, right?
Exactly.
And it's learning about that and what you need in yourself. It's so beneficial.
Exactly.
It's just going to take your training to the next level. And as you said, if you're serious,
prove
it by tracking your calories.
Obviously, guys, if you're not serious about your goals, then don't worry about any of this. But if you want to jump higher, it's quite a hard thing to do. It's hard if you want to actually get good results. Like, you can't not be serious to some extent. So,
sleep, diet. The next one I was going to mention is stress.
Okay,
So, there's lots of different kinds of stresses, right? But for example, a lot of athletes we have are in like the later years of high school.
Yeah.
And I know for a lot of people, especially if you're doing like really hard subjects, right? That can be stressful, especially if you've got your parents saying, you got to get this grade,
Yeah.
Or I need to get this grade if I want to go to this university or college, whatever. So, again, that's like an example of a stress.
Yeah.
And stress can impact your performance, it can impact your sleep, and overall can just like ruin your training, right?
Yeah.
So it is something you do need to manage, right?
Yeah, sympathetic state versus parasympathetic state. And they're just fancy ways of saying being in a stress state versus a relaxed state.
Yeah.
You know, so if you ever hear those words thrown around, that's basically what they mean.
Yeah. There are ways to like, decrease your stress, right? And people do it different ways.
Yeah.
Actually, just sleeping itself can actually get rid of stress, like, weirdly enough.
Helps you manage stress much better. Like, undersleeping, that's another thing. If you're undersleeping consistently, you're not going to manage stress as well. And then training is a stress in it itself.
Well, do you ever notice, like, if you get a bad sleep, you like a little bit more on edge?
Yeah.
Little things that wouldn't normally get to you.
Yeah, anxiety's up.
Your cortisol's already higher than it should be, right?
Bad mood.
Yeah, all that.
Easily pissed off.
Mm-hmm.
All that. And that actually affects your recovery a lot. But also in saying that, here's actually a good thing we can bring up, is actually auto-regulating your training. So if you're a younger kid and you're going through exams and your training is like 5x5, crazy as hell that week.
80%.
80%, there's something crazy, and you already got all that stress going through that week of your exams, then it's not a smart idea to actually push your training that week. Because training, like I said before, is a stress of itself. And if you're going through all that stress at the same time, then that's a good point to actually hold back for that week. You know, cut your volume in half or drop your intensity a bit. Auto-regulate your training to a certain extent in order to optimize your recovery.
Yeah. But I actually have a funny story kind of to do with that, with exams and training.
Yeah.
So I remember, this is actually going to sound like so, like, I don't know, immature on my part, but I remember I was in, like, this is my first year of dunking, so I was 17 in year 12 or senior year, if you're in America. And it was, like, middle of the week, and I just run, like, the 1,500 meter. Do you know what that is? Like, the 1,500 meter race, like, at the carnival, like the athletics carnival. Right?
Yeah.
So I've done that. And then immediately following that, I had, like, an hour and a half dunk session at school. All right? Because we had a spare period, and then we had lunch. So I done 1,500 meter run, hour and a half dunk session. But 5 minutes following that, I had to do a maths test, right?
Yeah.
And my brain just couldn't, I was like fried. You know that feeling, like the feeling of being fried, like nothing's working, you can't just want to sit there.
Yeah.
Your mind's just blank, like nothing's firing, like your neurons are just not having it.
Yeah.
So that's an example of, if you train really hard, not only could your training get impacted, but if you really care about your school results, whatever, like your school results could actually suffer because of that.
Yeah, so
if you're doing both simultaneously. So
essentially what you're saying is cognitively, you will suffer as well in terms of your mental performance.
Mm-hmm.
That's a really good point to actually bring up as well. Yeah. So, but yeah, guys, just like having that discipline and knowledge. Like if you have a lot of stress going through your life, then holding back on training is definitely a really good idea to maximize your long-term results. And this is the key with injuries and managing injuries. You constantly need to be thinking long-term, because improving your vertical jump is a long-term goal. It's not a short-term thing. It doesn't happen overnight. It takes a lot of work and a lot of years to actually, get freaky, right? Quote unquote, get freaky. Yeah. So with injuries, it's so important you're thinking long-term, right? Yeah.
It's going to sound really harsh, but if you're coming into the whole vertical jump scene community with the mindset of, I want to get freaky in 6 months, I have 6 months to do this, I have 6 months to get freaky, whatever, I feel like that's the complete wrong attitude, and you're kind of not cut out for this. Would you agree? Because that's like a terrible attitude to come in. You have to kind of enjoy the day in, day out, enjoy the grind, and know that it's going to be a long-term thing. Yeah, you're gonna make insane gains at the start, because everyone does, because you're undertrained. Yeah. But when you hit that plateau, the difference between becoming the next level and staying where you are is sticking it out and actually like taking that upon yourself to get to that next level. Yeah. Instead of just doing the same thing over and over and expecting something different to happen.
Yeah, and it's like essentially what you're saying is enjoying the journey, enjoying the process, but ensuring like you're doing all the right things, you're putting in the work. Because if you are doing all the right things, you are putting in the work, then results are going to come. They're going to be inevitable. Yep. Right? They can't not come if you're doing all the right things. You know what I mean?
And when you say putting in the work, he doesn't just mean in the gym, in your dunk sessions, all of that. He means what we were just saying before: sleep, diet, stress, every little 1% thing you have to do if you really want to get to that your potential. Yeah. Which does not happen in 5 years. Yeah. You got so much time. Yeah. So much time to reach your potential. So. Yeah. Should we move on to our next topic? We kind of.
Yeah. Really how to deal with injuries when they do happen, because they're gonna inevitably happen. Yeah. And I think I said this in the last podcast, but like I think one of the key things is listening to your body when it's whispering. Don't wait for it to start yelling, because when it starts yelling, it's too late. Yep. And you need to listen to those whispers, because if you don't listen to those whispers, they're going to turn into yells,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then you're going to be out longer. And you're not going to be able to
100%.
train, and the injury is going to get more serious.
Yeah.
So, and it's just kind of like, you know, like with injuries, you can only push through them for so long. You know what I mean? Eventually, you're going to have to pay taxes on those injuries.
Interest.
Or the interest, on those injuries.
Interest builds up and...
Yeah. So, no, that's...
And also, if you're injured, and we know people in person that if we like, even you would have experienced this, I've experienced this. If you have a little bit of pain, you might think, okay, I can still jump on this, that's fine. But subconsciously, your body's not going to let you push to 100%.
Yeah.
Because it knows if I go 100%, I'm injured, I'm going to get even more hurt.
Yeah.
So it actually holds back. It stops you firing your muscles completely.
Yeah, and also your brain creates tightness around whatever's injured as well.
More likely to get hurt because of that.
Yeah. It's a protective memechanism, right?
Exactly. So, yeah, listen when it's whispering, not when it's yelling. Also, know, kind of, relating to that, feel free to take a step back and kind of reassess, like, what's wrong. Think why, what happened.
Why did this injury happen?
Because it's actually a learning thing, right?
Yeah, how can I prevent it in the future?
Yeah.
All those things, you know what I mean?
100%.
Because all the injuries are multi-factorial. There's probably a few key things that you can pick up that, I should have done this better to prevent this, you know what I mean? Well, there would have been warning signs leading up, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Most injuries happen, in my opinion, because, someone has a little niggle and it goes away, comes back, and they're like, okay, I can push through this. I got through it last time. But then eventually you break. A lot of injuries, other than like tears, like ACL tears, you can't really avoid those sometimes, right? A lot of them...
Those freak injuries,
Yeah, like one-off injuries, I like to call them.
Yeah, there's things you can do to reduce the chances of that happening and the severity of that happening, but sometimes it's not always
Again,
the
that
case.
could be a whole nother... preventing injuries could be a whole nother
like
thing.
getting your body stronger.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Making sure you're in the gym, strength training, all that, but...
We'll leave that for now. We got other topics to speak of. We got how to deal with injuries, right? Well, yeah. We know a guy we actually saw in person. One thing you should never do, right? You know what I'm talking about. What we saw 2 Saturdays ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about now?
Oh, okay, yeah.
I don't actually know his name, but it was a bit fucking scary. What was it?
I don't know his name.
You don't know his name?
No.
Yeah, it was a bit scary to see. So, when you get to the point and you're kind of dunking with 2 hands, right? Obviously, human nature. It's cool to be able to hang on the ring.
Yeah.
I guess you guys kind of get what I'm getting at here. He went to hang on the ring. He was coming in with... Was he jumping off 2 feet?
Yeah.
He sprints into his jump. Let's just mention this beforehand. He was sprinting into the jump. Someone threw him a lob. Dunked it. I'm pretty sure he actually did dunk it. But he did not grab the ring fully.
Yeah.
He slid back, landed on his wrist. And I didn't think... it was bad. Because I kind of saw it in the corner of my eye. I saw him on the ground.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh shit, what happened? And then he kind of walked off. And then we didn't see him for a little bit.
Yeah.
And then one of his mates came back after. And he's like, oh, he broke his wrist.
Yeah.
And he didn't look like he was in that much pain. It didn't even look that bad. But breaking your wrist, again, relating to what we were saying before, if you're injured, that's going to help stop you from training. Yeah,
exactly. But the key learning lesson from that is if you're at that point when you're dunking, where you can hang on the ring, you either hang or you don't. If you could try to go in between, that's where you flick back, that's where you can land on your head. If you land on your head, you can kill yourself.
Worst case.
No, worst case, no, but it's possible.
Yeah, 100%.
Possible, or break your wrist. Yeah. When
you're getting to the point when you're hanging on the ring with 2 hands, kind of in that in-between zone, that's when it's the most dangerous.
Yeah.
Our mate Hack, again, he's kind of at that level. This was a while ago, so he's definitely jumping high now. But he went for his first 2-hand hang with the wild dunk in it, and I was recording it, and he kind of grabbed it with the tips of his fingers, and guess what? He slipped off. And if you guys have seen the video, it was not pretty.
Yeah.
He landed, falling backwards, one leg down, twisted, and his torso was going the other way. I'm like, how did you not fucking tear your ACL? Or something worse. Man, he was very lucky in that. And imagine hurting yourself from something so preventable.
Exactly.
So
the key thing is make sure if you're gonna hang, hold on. and until you regain balance and then land safely, or don't hang and land safely.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with dunking with 2 hands and
even a bonus tip here: if you don't know where the ball is under you, hang for an extra second, wait to see where the ball is, and then land.
NBA guys do.
Yeah, so then you don't end up landing on the ball and like destroying your ankle as well. That's another like really good tip there.
I've had a lot of scares like that.
Yeah.
From doing under both, like I grab it instead of going under me like that. I push the ball straight down. I'm like, dude, if the ball's under me, I'm gone.
These 3 things can happen, man.
Yeah.
And there's things you can do to reduce the chances of these things happening as well. Like if you're dunking with other people, waiting for, everyone to clear out first and then going.
Or not shooting when you see someone going for a dunk.
Yeah.
That's kind of, real quick. That's kind of like dunk is etiquette.
Yeah.
It should not even dunk it. It should be like basketball etiquette.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, you see someone going for a dunk, I would recommend not shooting. Because not only is it a little bit rude, because they might have to stop their dunk, but like worst case scenario, you brick your shot, goes off, lands underneath them. Oh, you just rolled this guy's ankle. And that's like such a preventable thing.
Yeah, it's such a scary thing as well.
Yeah.
Even like if you're playing basketball, right? You're playing with people that you don't know, and they're getting a bit rough. It's probably not the best idea to go up and try dunk on them because they might get salty.
I've seen that, man.
And do all this dirty stuff, try to injure you, all that.
That's why I don't like our athletes playing in like shitty rec league games. Like I want them to play as high level as they can, because if you're just playing with dudes from the rec center, half of them don't even know what they're doing, man.
Yeah.
They're just footy players and they're going to just shove you midair, like terrible stuff.
Yeah.
For example, one of our mates, Eddie, sometimes he plays basketball at the rec center, and not everyone there like fully plays basketball like competitively. They just there to have fun. And I'm not dissing them for not playing basketball competitively, but because they don't kind of know the, I guess, little things you should not do in basketball. Like, say someone's shooting. Basketball etiquette. Like, say someone's shooting, when you're closing them out, you don't put your foot under their, like, landing space. Just little things like that.
Yeah.
And that happened to him, and he rolled his ankle, and that's, like, the 3rd time it's happened.
Yeah.
And we're kind of just like...
Yeah.
Obviously, Eddie can't do anything about that.
Yeah.
We feel bad for him, but it's like, come on. I want my guy to be able to train.
Yeah.
Because he can't train if his ankle's rolled.
Yeah, exactly.
So...
Exactly. But, yeah... Anyways, moving on to the mental struggles of injuries, right?
Yeah.
So that's a big one, yeah.
We have both had an injury that has taken us out for more than a week. And when you get to the point where you're kind of not doing what you want to do for a week, that's when it becomes it can become an issue like mentally. Obviously, if you've like, I don't know, got a ball in the end of your finger and you've sprained your finger, you might not be able to deadlift or something for like a week. It'll heal, the bruise will go away, you're fine. You've had your meniscus, you were out, well not out, but you weren't
couldn't do what I wanted to do for like 8 weeks. Yeah.
Exactly. And that was end of last year, I think.
Yeah.
So you got over that. I'm currently going through it'd be my first long-term injury, I'd say, that has taken more than a week, which I thought was my glute. I've now just come back and discovered that it's like if you guys don't know, you got your spine, so you've got like your vertebra, right? And mine between L1 and L2, so it's kind of more at the bottom of your back. So you've got your 2 vertebrae, that little compression disc in between it, which kind of like helps your back take some compressive forces. It's kind of like a little squishy disc. We don't actually know how, but it kind of got a bit like cracked, the guy said, and it leaked some fluid out. And the reason it hurt my glute is because obviously the body, when it hurts itself, you get inflammation. The inflammation is kind of compressing the nerve that goes towards my glute. So anything to do with a glute movement or flexion of the back, because it's already compressed, it kind of like fires off that nerve, and the referred pain in my glute is what I feel. There's actually nothing wrong with the glute, so that's just
that's definitely
kind of an update, and it is relieving knowing what has happened. It's good to know what is wrong with me, so I kind of have a plan to go about to get better. And mentally, I think that's going to help, because before it was kind of unknown. It's like, oh, what do I do? Because it's hurting, this movement's hurting. I don't know why. But now I know why. I can work around it. And that's a big thing with us is if, say, we've had lots of athletes getting injured and they're like, can't train now. It's like, no, you train around it, right?
Yeah, that's a big thing. Just realizing as well, like mentally, obviously you're down, you can't do what you want to do, you can't train how you want to train, you can't push yourself. but just thinking of what you still can do and just being very thankful of what you still can do, and just obviously it's cliche as to say, but thinking positive and thinking of the things that you still have to do, and that's a good opportunity to also work on weaknesses as well, things that you otherwise neglected as well. So there's definitely still a lot of opportunity in injury. There's opportunity to learn from it as well, become better, and for us in our specific scenario, become better as coaches. So if anyone else deals with what we're going through, we can help them, we can assist them much better because we've been through it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we can understand them much more as well.
Real quick, just shout out Travis as well. You know Travis Reynolds.
Yeah,
you saw the whole thing about his back.
Yeah.
So we're kind of like talking back and forth because we both injured our back. He actually bought himself the big hard copy of the Stuart McGill book. Do you see that?
Yeah.
So if you guys don't know, Stuart McGill, probably like the most advanced, smartest back researcher there is out there. He's got his own book. He's got what he likes to call the McGill Big Three. We actually program that quite a lot. So you got the bird dog, side plank, and curl up. And doing those, not only if you have a back injury, but just like as a preventative thing, it can be very helpful, right? It's kind of like ISOs for the back. So, you know, before your dunk station, you do your little, or I don't know, depending on what you get programmed. So you can do your, you know, your manual ISO. You can do the split leg one that we like to program. Obviously, that's for your knee, right? The back ISO, well, not back ISOs, the back exercises are kind of the same concept. So it prevents back pain before it even gets there, but also can be used as a rehab thing to get you back to where you were. So that will be something I'm doing as a part of my rehab for my back.
Yeah.
100%. Or not going to do, have been doing. I did it yesterday. I need to do some sets today. I'll do 3 sets today.
Good.
So, you know, be proactive about it, right?
Exactly.
Don't just complain. What's your saying? Don't be you know what
Don't talk about it, be about it.
Don't talk about it, be about it.
Yeah, I got that one off LeBron.
My man's got it tattooed.
That's actually a good tattoo idea, actually.
Well, yes.
Get the words relentless here, and then don't talk about it, be about it there.
Yeah.
No, that'd be sick. But anyways, going back to the mental struggles of injuries, obviously they can be quite debilitating mentally, but a big thing that helped me get through what I was going through was actually like kind of distracting myself a bit, following another passion of mine. I got a bit more into photography at that point. I was still coming down to dunk sessions. No, I wasn't really doing that, to be honest. No, I was more just like being more creative, you know.
Side quest.
Taking photos, side quest, kind of distract myself, you know, keep my mind off what I can't do, but keeping my mind on what I still can do, and getting better at that while still obviously doing everything in my power to rehab the injury as well. So obviously doing that
things can only heal so fast.
Yeah.
Like, people expect, what's the secret pill, what's the secret food to get my thing, whatever they injured, better in a week. It's like, you can do everything in your power to make it heal as fast as it possibly can, give it the best chance to heal as fast as it possibly can. But at the end of the day, your body only has so much power, and it can only heal so fast. Right?
Unless you're doing the dark side, right?
Oh yeah,
the dark side of the force.
Like Darth Sion or something.
Yeah.
Just, yeah.
Then you have the power to bring people back to life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Darth Plagueis, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the Star Wars nerds right now listening are like, oh.
Yeah.
Lucky listening.
I mean, we're 2 foot jumpers, so we already got the powers of the dark side. So
no, we're light side.
Hey?
We're light side.
No, bro.
2 foot jumping is better.
2 foot jumping is way more powerful than 1 foot, man. Come on.
Oh, so okay.
1 foot jumpers be in the chat right now, Hayden.
I thought you said Hayden. Oh yeah.
No, Hayden.
I mean, we can do a big shout out to.
Yeah.
Let's just say he's our athlete of the fortnight. We should do that. Like the best athlete on JumpX.
Yeah.
Because it's not.
I'll put a post up. Yeah.
100%. Last fortnight it was Hack 100%. So the first podcast, Hack, you were our best athlete. You went mental like
athlete.
He went off.
Who?
Hack. He dunked like twice in his life, and then one session decided to dunk like 10 times.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, cool.
Yeah, and he full yammed one and brought it back too.
Insane. Yeah. So second podcast, Hayden. So little thing, you guys probably seen all the posts about Hayden. Couldn't even touch the rim. He's 6'4", 6'5".
Yeah.
1 foot jumper mainly. Now he's grabbing it and he's getting like there in his hands. So
First dunk coming soon, man.
Yeah, I say
First
to people, bro, if
soon.
you can get there, right there, what does that mean? You can get a dunk off the lob.
Yeah.
Because look, your wrist is on the rim.
Mm-hmm.
You can push that shit down.
Mm-hmm.
And gonna dunk it. So I think within the next 2 weeks, Hayden could.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very exciting. Shows
yeah.
how quick you can progress if you put in the work.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
smart.
Absolutely.
So, do you have anything else you kind of want to talk about?
Yeah, so basically to wrap up the podcast, I
Yeah.
guess, last point I want to bring up is as things start to feel better with your injury, it's very important to be disciplined in terms of how you're progressing it. You don't want to just be like, oh, things are feeling better, I'm feeling good, and then push straight back into intense as training and what you're doing before. It's very important to ease back into things and slowly condition your body back to what you're doing before. Otherwise, you can re-injure yourself or cause another injury, and then that sets you back further. So it's so important to be onto yourself, stay disciplined with your mindset. Don't let the ego get the better of you, because if you do, then that's going to set you back further.
Yeah. Something the physio actually told me, and what you just said, it's a good example of that. So say you're playing basketball, you go up for a rebound, and you roll your ankle, okay? And let's just say it's a grade 1. Obviously, you're going to be out for like maybe a week because it's going to be swollen, a bit painful, you can't play on it.
Mm-hmm.
The mistake you'll see a lot of people do is they will get no pain in their ankle, straight back on the basketball court, no rehab, no like easing into it. They go back to exactly what they were doing before. And what you'll commonly find is they'll roll the exact same ankle again. And they go, oh, is that just unlucky? And then same thing will happen. They'll rehab it and it'll happen again. First of all, they didn't ease back into it. And the main reason that actually happens is, say, just for example, it was your ATFL ligament in your ankle. Technically, like structurally, it's not fully back. And it takes like 6 to 8 weeks to fully, say it's like a minor tear, it takes 6 to 8 weeks to fully heal itself. So just because you've given it a week and it feels good, doesn't mean structurally it's there. More likely it's going to, do that little minor tear again, because think like you got a piece of paper and it's half ripped compared to a piece of paper that's full and not ripped. What's going to take more force to break? Obviously the half ripped paper.
Exactly.
So that's just something to think about. So if you roll your ankle or do some little injury, think about think inside your ankle, like what's actually happening. And yeah.
And this is especially important with tendon pain as well. To ensure your pain doesn't come back, because if you you go to the doctor for tendon pain, just take a week off, pain goes away, start up basketball again, what you're doing before, pain flares up again. You know what I mean?
Cycle, bro.
Cycle just repeats, week off, good.
You can't be
pain
better
comes
like
back.
that.
You gotta ease back into it, and that's where load management is important. But anyways, we'll cap the podcast off there, eh?
Yeah, so if you guys want, Austen and I to coach you, people who've been there in injuries, in the low times, we've also been at the level where we couldn't dunk and we can dunk now. If you kind of want our knowledge, give it to you for that 2-on-1, coaching experience. We have a WhatsApp group with you, so every week you've got your training laid out on an app called Train Heroic. Everything's there laid out from, your warm-up to your progressions to your, your main exercise.
Everything, literally a blueprint to success. If you do everything that's written for you, you're going to get a result.
You want that? Send us a DM on the JumpX Instagram at JumpX Performance Coaching.
Yep.
Just use the word podcast. Just send the word podcast. We'll know you're from here.
Yep.
And we'll get you set up with that.
Yep. Awesome.
That's everything. So
awesome.
Remember to like, subscribe. If you're on YouTube, on Spotify, give it a like. What else do we have it on? Whatever we have it on, just give it a positive rating.
Yeah.
Feedback. Yeah. All of that. So, anything
right.
else?
No, that's pretty much it, man.
Awesome, man.
All right. Well, we'll see you guys in the next one.
See you.
Peace.